Hey, man.
Hey, dude. It's been a minute since we've done one of these. I'm excited to nerd out today. It's really been a while since I had some good fanboy conversation. And a lot has went down since our last episode.
Well, you've been traveling the world a lot.
Yeah, dude. I've been all over the world the last 6 weeks. A couple different countries, all around the United States, doing my DJ thing. But now I'm back here in New York City, ready to rock. And welcome to all our listeners. I'm J-Days here with Ben Metlis.
What's up?
And this is the Infinite Universe Podcast, Episode 6. Today we'll discuss Deadpool 2, Solo, a Star Wars story, Arrow and Flash, Luke Cage, and give you the latest news and updates from Marvel, DC, and more. All right, let's start off with announcing our winner of our Thanos Pop Funko giveaway. Congratulations to Jim Hayes. You are our winner.
We've had some great conversation with him back and forth on our YouTube page.
Yeah, for sure. He's a big Venom fan like us, and he's super pumped for the movie that's about to drop in October.
Absolutely.
We had some great convos with him back and forth. So check it out. Attention, Mr. Jim Hayes. You have 30 days to email us at infiniteuniversepodcast@gmail.com. Send us your full address in the email, and we will ship that Pop Funko directly to you. Once again, congratulations. And if you want a chance to win our next giveaway, all you got to do is subscribe to us on either Apple Podcasts or YouTube. You got to leave a comment, rate and review the show, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be our next winner for our great giveaways. I mean, I really enjoy engaging with our listeners, Ben.
Me too.
So make sure to add us on Twitter and Instagram. I know, Ben, whenever you post things about Star Wars, we get a lot of replies and likes. That seems to be really popular with our listeners.
Well, there's a lot of content to talk about with that now, good and bad.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, remember, just add us, have some conversations with us. We love engaging with you guys. It's fun to nerd out. And now that I'm back in town, we're going to post some more content more regularly. So make sure, again, Twitter and Instagram, we're out there. Leave us a comment, all that good stuff. All right, so again, in this episode, we're going to talk a lot about Deadpool 2 and Solo for a good chunk of it. We're going to give our reactions to this movie, and it might surprise you. Like, we haven't even discussed this much amongst ourselves because I really wanted to save it for the podcast and maybe even surprise each other with our reactions to these films because they've been pretty divisive.
Yeah, this has been a very polarizing movie, especially Solo, Star Wars story. And I'm surprised by some of the fan reactions because I wasn't really looking forward to it. But like you said, you'll be surprised by our reactions when we talk about it in more depth.
All right, before we get into all that, let's talk the latest news and updates. All right, we knew this was going to happen, Ben. Avengers Infinity War breaks the $2 billion mark.
And that's only in the movies. That's not even like DVD sales. Can you imagine how much it's going to make once it gets for sale?
I think it's now 4th or 3rd overall best-selling of all time, which
even
is
people
awesome.
who don't like all the other movies have enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I think it's behind, Avatar and maybe Titanic, I think it is?
I think it beat Titanic.
Okay, so maybe it's Avatar and what?
It's
A Jurassic Park film?
Maybe.
Was it? I think. Yeah, something like that.
Jurassic World? Was it the
I
first
think
Jurassic
I
World
think it
that
was
killed in the box office?
I think it might beat that, though. It might be hard to reach Avatar number, but again, once DVD sales come out, who knows? I mean, it's going to make a ton more money.
Oh, absolutely. I'll probably end up buying 4 copies myself.
All right, so this is kind of an interesting tidbit. Comcast put in a bid for Fox in an all-cash bid for $65 billion, which is actually $12 billion more than the Disney bid.
This is interesting because makes me wonder, what does Comcast have in stake for Fox? Now, we know why Disney wants it. You know, it makes a lot of sense for them.
They want to bring X-Men into the universe that they're already creating with the MCU. I like that. I don't know if I want Comcast having
I think
this.
it has to do more with television than it does for the film industry.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the only thing that makes sense with Fox's television.
I could see that. I don't know if I like it, though.
I mean, we really don't have a say in it when it comes
unless we have $65 billion to put in a bid, right?
Hey guys, so visit us on our Patreon page and donate $1.
We need $66 billion, and we're gonna buy the rights to Fox.
Yeah, we'll take care of this for you.
And I promise we'll make a good Fantastic Four movie. All right, let's talk some other fun news. Donald Glover is reportedly being looked at for the Black Panther sequel. I'm excited about this. You know what I mean? I loved him in Solo. He was one of my favorite parts. We'll discuss some of that.
He's such a
later.
personality.
But yeah, he's a great actor. It'd be awesome to see him as a villain.
Now, does this mean we're not getting Kendrick Lamar in it?
Who knows? There could be more than one villain.
Would that be awesome
for sure.
if we get Kendrick Lamar and Donald Glover?
And then the soundtrack is from Childish Gambino and Kendrick Lamar. Wow, my DJ and nerd comic book fanboy in me just got so excited.
So speaking of villains, and now Tom Holland has, once again, they say, revealed the name of it.
He's got such a big mouth, that kid.
He does. That's why they don't let him reveal
That's why I love
the script. Me too.
Spoils it for us.
Exactly.
Actually, doesn't spoil it. He gets me more excited.
But they said that Jake Gyllenhaal has been cast as Mysterio for the new Spider-Man film.
I'm so down for this. I'm so happy that they're going to do a villain that we haven't seen yet. I've been waiting for Mysterio on the big screen because I feel like there's so much you could do with that character.
And I think that Jake Gyllenhaal was brought in as a good choice because if he brings the character he played in Donnie Darko to this role, a very dark, kept in weirdo who has a past that he's not revealing, it could be very interesting on the screen.
I'm down for that all the way.
Me too.
Spider-Man Homecoming is one of my favorite Marvel films. I hope they do the sequel just as good.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm down for it. I'm excited, man.
Now, since they're doing a sequel, does that mean Spider-Man didn't die in Avengers Infinity War?
Obviously. I mean, you know, there's a lot that we can talk about Infinity Wars and rumors and predictions. Maybe we'll save that for another show.
Yeah, we'll do that for when the DVD comes out.
All right, let's talk some more news. A lot of DC news to talk about. Well, the head of DC is leaving. I think she came in from the world of Harry Potter, and things haven't been going so well in the world of DC. What do you think? Is this for the best?
We can see how that's going to change the whole entire aspect of the DCU.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people calling for her to leave, just like kind of Kennedy from Star Wars to leave also. So, I mean, the fans haven't been very forgiving to a lot of these extended universes.
Yeah. You know, I had a conversation with someone about this the other day. Out of the DCEU movies, the only one that was good and not
Wonder
even
Woman.
great was Wonder Woman. It was good. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. It didn't blow me away. I thought it was a good origin story. But, I mean, the other ones, though, they missed the mark for me.
Their television shows are great, and their animated films are really good.
Facts. And we're actually going to talk about two of our favorite television shows a little bit later. But let's talk about this from DC. I'm excited about this, sort of, kind of, hesitantly excited. Let me say that. Apparently, we got 2 Joker movies in the works. We got one coming from director Todd Phillips. He's directed Old School and Road Trip, 2 of my favorite comedies.
I think Scorsese's getting involved with this.
I think I heard that too. And then we're going to have Joaquin Phoenix play the Joker. So this is supposed to be a standalone film outside of the current canon of the DCEU. It's supposed to take place in the 80s in New York City. I think we're kind of going to get an origin story for the Joker.
It could be cool. I think like maybe it'll be a really crime noir, very Chinatown feel to it.
I could dig that. I don't know if I necessarily need a Joker origin story, because one of the best parts was the mystery behind the Joker.
I agree.
One of the best parts of the character
the
is
ominous tone behind him, where he came from.
And one of my favorite things about Heath Ledger's Joker was that whenever he told his like origin story or how he got the scars, like it was always different.
There was 3 different versions.
And that's what I loved about that, because you didn't know what it was. It was kind of this.
Well, let me pose
mystery.
this to you. What happens if they give an origin story and at the end of the film or throughout it, it makes you question if it's real?
Interesting. I mean, we'll see. I'm excited for Joaquin Phoenix. Phenomenal actor. I'm pretty sure he's going to kill it. I think he'll do a better job at it than Leto. I wasn't a fan of Leto's Joker.
I don't think Leto was given a really good chance to be a
lot
good
of
Joker.
his scenes were on the cutting room floor, but I think that's the other Joker film that we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get a Leto,
which is weird to me because they're making another Leto Joker film, and from what Leto said, they had a whole film that they cut out of Suicide Squad. So why don't they just put all that together and give us an actual Joker movie or a Joker Suicide Squad?
Yeah, I don't know if honestly I need either of these. Remember, I think in the last podcast or maybe episode 4 or 5, we talked about the Batgirl movie, and how if they did that, it'd be awesome to start it with the Killing Joke. I would also kind of be okay with maybe one of these movies having that in it, maybe as an ending. You know what I mean? We'll see. Yeah.
We'll have Gordon in it, and then maybe she turns into like Batgirl at the end of the film.
Yeah. All right. We also got some released pictures from DC's Aquaman coming out, in December? The villain for this film will be Black Manta, who kind of reminds me of Alpha from the old school Power Rangers. Aye, right? Isn't that what he used to say?
So he used to shake his head back and forth and run around.
He's kind of, I don't really know much about this character.
Neither do I.
But I guess we'll see. That's going to be the big movie for December. In other news, Wonder Woman 2, it's reportedly going to take place decades after the first movie.
In the 80s, I think,
during the Cold War.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman's going to be getting a new suit or new costume. And there's also rumors that we might be getting Martian Manhunter in this film as well.
Now, this is interesting that Martian Manhunter is going to be in it. So Chris Pine has been seen on set. So is Steve coming back, or is he actually Martian Manhunter taking the form of Steve?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about a moment ago when we were prepping for the show. Wouldn't that be kind of cool if, because, Chris Pine's character could definitely just be a flashback, which, they do in a lot of movies. Or if they have him in this decades later, he died at the end of... Did he die at the end of Wonder Woman?
Yes.
Okay, I was like...
he sacrificed himself,
yes,
remember?
Okay, yes.
He sacrificed himself to drop the bombs.
I would be totally into the idea of having him in this next Wonder Woman, but as Martian Manhunter, because, he could shapeshift. That'd be a cool way to keep Chris Pine in here in the movie, but as another character.
It would also be conflicting for Wonder Woman too, because she loved Chris Pine's character Steve.
Yeah.
So then to see him coming back, and then all of a sudden she's very conflicted and haven't revealed that it's not actually him.
Yeah,
that would be fascinating.
And then we could even get Martian Manhunter in the Justice League somewhere down the road if they ever fix that mess of a franchise. But we'll see what happens with all that. But that's it from the DC universe right now.
So, also, Disney is canceling all the independent Star Wars films. We'll go into this a little bit deeper with the Solo, how Solo was such a flop and failure for them. It's rumored that they lost $200 million.
Damn.
They're canceling the Boba Fett independent film, and my heart breaks for this, the Obi-Wan Kenobi independent movie.
I don't know if my heart breaks for either. I think I was more into the Obi-Wan.
No, I wasn't really interested
Boba Fett,
in the Boba
I don't know
Fett
if I necessarily need it because we kind of know a lot of his
But
origin.
We'll talk about this later. It could have played into the Solo film. There's some history with the Mandalorians for the ending of the Solo film, and maybe they could have intertwined the stories for it.
All right, so in some other really exciting news that I know we're both geeked out about, we're going to get a new Spawn movie.
Absolutely.
It's said to be starring Jamie Foxx, and it's going to be written and directed by Todd McFarlane, which I'm super excited about.
He's
Todd
throwing
McFarlane
his full weight behind
being
this.
on this, right? So it's going to be a rated R movie. It's going to be a darker tone movie.
A very darker tone. And what do you think of Jamie Foxx as Spawn?
Listen, Jamie Foxx is a great actor, but also I didn't love Electro.
I don't think that was his fault necessarily as much as it was the film's fault.
So that's the thing. Like, I heard there's not going to be a lot of talking in it, which I don't know what that means. Like, maybe you won't have a lot of dialogue.
It will be all action.
Which is cool. I'm excited for this darker toned rated R version, which I think is what Spawn needs. You know
It's
what I mean?
absolutely what it needs. He's been Todd McFarlane has been talking about having a full-on rated R version, almost a Deadpool treatment.
I think
to
he's
Spawn.
been technically working on this for decades.
Yes.
I think he was supposed to originally make the original, but then, deals fell through or whatever. Something like that.
I think he pulled out of the first one because they wanted to tone down the violence.
Yeah.
And he already signed a contract with them, so he couldn't really full out cancel it. And that's why he stepped away and said, all right, well, then this is you guys. This is not me. And now with Deadpool coming out the way it was, he goes, okay, I'm going to do the same treatment. And talking about Deadpool is because this is apparently low budget. And Deadpool was technically considered a low budget film too.
Yeah, facts. So it could be successful. I mean, again, Jamie Foxx has had some incredible work, but here's what's going to make or break this film, I think. Who were they going to cast as the Violator?
That's absolutely true.
Because one of the best and only best parts of the other Spawn movie
John
was John Leguizamo as the clown Violator. He was great at that role, I thought. We need someone like
I'm going to throw a name out here, and you let me know. Patton Oswalt.
I would like to see Patton Oswalt in the clown suit, but I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he's played dark before.
Comedians have a dark side. It's happened before, and I think that it would be he could bring the comedy and maybe a little bit of dark tone to the Violator as the evil clown who has a sick sense of humor.
I was listening to one of Kevin Smith's podcasts, and him and Mark were they threw some names out there. Benicio del Toro.
That could totally work.
And Vincent D'Onofrio. Interesting.
I don't know as much Vincent D'Onofrio as Benicio del Toro. I could see.
Have you seen The Cell?
Yeah, of course I have.
With Vincent D'Onofrio,
and it had Jennifer Lopez in it.
Yeah.
It's one of my top favorite horror movies. He could play a
weirdo, crazy, unique character, I think, for sure. But I'm thinking,
can he bring that excited, eccentric clown criminal into it?
We'll see. I mean, I like where they were thinking with that. We'll see what happens with that. But that's Spawn. Let's talk about something else you guys might be interested in. We're getting a Watchmen TV series on HBO. It's not exactly the Watchmen that we're familiar with. It is going to be like a revamp of sorts, but it will be canon to the story that we already have. Could be interesting.
It brings back the original creator to the writing staff, so this
cool.
is his pet project too.
But we're not going to have like the comedian in it. I don't think we're not going to have.
It's on HBO, so it can be seriously dark and gritty too.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I'm hesitant, but give me a comic book TV show and I'll watch it. That's for sure.
Agree.
Let's talk some Walking Dead news. Andrew Lincoln, who plays the main character Rick, will be leaving the show after this season, which will in turn have Norman Reedus as the lead actor. But right now he's holding out for more money. He's asking $20 million for this next season. I mean,
good for him, man.
They got to give it to him, right?
First off, I don't really watch it as much, but you do. Yeah. And from what I gather from fans and what I read online is Norman Reedus has been leading the show anyway.
Yeah,
he's a fan favorite.
He's been a fan favorite for the last few seasons.
People have been over Rick for a little while now.
Yeah, I think there's also rumor that we might be losing Maggie, the actress that plays Maggie, and she's also a main character. So they got to give Norman Reedus the money. Honestly, after this last season, I think I might be over the show. They took way too long with this whole Rick and Negan thing. I think it was 3 freaking seasons, bro.
They were dragging it out.
Like, the end season where he bashes the heads in with the bat, epic. I loved it. But then it really dragged out after that. And the way the last season ended, I really liked the last episode. But I don't know, man. It just... it's losing it for me. You know, it's losing some of that magic that it once had.
Viewership has been gradually declining.
Yeah, so maybe they got to kill Rick off in an awesome way to kind of get some more viewers, and then have some crazy stuff happen on the show to kind of get those numbers back up. We'll see. I'll definitely tune in, but they got to make some changes if they want to keep me as a fan. And let's continue on with TV. Cloak and Dagger is now on TV. I haven't got to watch it yet.
I haven't gotten to watch it either, but I have it saved on my Hulu. I like how it's on Hulu, so I can catch up on it. And because we were talking about how it's on what channel again?
Oh my God, it's Freeform or something like that.
And we were
channel.
discussing on a past podcast when we were talking about television shows, how do you watch Freeform? But since it's on Hulu, it gives it open to a lot of people who would be interested in it, but don't even know what channel Freeform's on. So I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance. I've just been so busy traveling, playing catch up with a lot of shows.
Stephen King's son has been pushing it really heavily on his Twitter account.
I'm down. I'll give it a try. I think the girl who plays Dagger looks like such a babe, so that's cool. Let's continue on with TV. Well, in Netflix news, Luke Cage season 2 is now out, and I watched the first episode of this, Ben.
What'd you think? I haven't caught it yet.
So, I'll give you the rundown of episode 1. As usual, the show starts off with some great hip-hop music. This time we get the track Shook Ones from Mobb Deep,
nice.
R.I.P. Prodigy. And that's one of the things I really love about the show. As a DJ, the soundtrack,
It's always been dope.
Yeah, it gets me pumped, man. Yeah. In the beginning scene, you see him put in the headphones and put on the hood, and then you hear the drum start of Mobb Deep Shook Ones, and I'm like, oh yes, he's about to go in and F shit up.
Even the trailer got me pumped for the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, that trailer was just so hyped and exciting.
Yeah.
I liked it.
The series begins with some drug dealers using Luke Cage's name as the branding on their packages of heroin. So each little package says Luke Cage on it.
Oh, no, they didn't.
So exactly. Like, what do you think Luke Cage is going to do? So he comes in and he starts messing up all these drug dealers, kicking all their asses. And it's funny. There's this scene where they're all standing there with a gun, and they say to Luke, it has to look like we at least tried, because they know the bullets won't penetrate him. But, to their bosses, they got to look like they tried to defeat him.
Okay.
So he's just like, he shrugs his shoulders like, all right, they shoot him. Nothing happens. He kicked their ass. So that was kind of funny. There was a scene where we see Luke's father. I guess he's a preacher, and he's practicing like a sermon in the mirror. And I like this because he calls Luke Cage the ghetto boogeyman that the street fears. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. He is kind of that.
Yeah.
The ghetto boogeyman. He comes out at night and, messes up all the street gangs and drug dealers. And it's cool. So in this season, it looks like Luke's life is under a microscope. I mean, there's people filming him with their phones. There's even an app that tells you where Luke is, or where he was last sighted, and it's called the Harlem's Hero app.
That's kind of cool.
So yeah. I have a feeling that this is going to come into play a lot more as the season goes on, for the worse, because I think he'll end up getting in some trouble because of this.
Because people will know exactly where he is. Even the villains will know who he is. And speaking of the villain, did they introduce him?
Yeah, we see the villain a little bit, the Bushmaster, and dude, it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Because it's only a quick scene, maybe, a few minutes long, but he kicks some serious ass in it.
Well, you could see in the trailer.
And I can't wait to see him up against Luke, because it's going to be fun and exciting. And then we also see Misty Knight, who's in rehab with Claire. They're bouncing a ball, trying to get her motor function in her other arm. And Claire basically feels guilty for what happened to Misty at the end of Defenders. If you remember, She got her arm chopped off. But I'm looking forward to seeing Misty with the bionic arm. I know we're going to get that at some point in this season.
I think it'll be cool.
Again, I'm only one episode in, but, I'm excited. And I think this was directed by Lucy Liu, so that's kind of cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that she was a part of this. So, that's Luke Cage. All right. Now, while I was away, I got to watch all of season 7 of Arrow. Now, like I mentioned in previous podcasts, I don't like to watch this show week by week because I feel like it drags on a lot. And thank God I didn't watch this season week by week because it freaking really dragged on so much, man. There were so many episodes where I was like, dude, I think it was like it took 10 episodes for it really to start to get good. I mean, there's 22 episodes, 24 episodes, something like that in the season.
The episodes are slow. It's like...
So basically, Oliver is the mayor of Star City, and he now has his son after his mom died at the end of the previous season. So now, Oliver's playing dad as well as mayor of the city. There's this cool angle in it. There's this FBI agent that's suspicious of Oliver and believes that he's the Arrow. So that's a pretty cool aspect of it. Black Siren is back as Laurel.
Oh, cool.
You know what? Honestly, not cool. Because I'm kind of bored of this. It was really boring to me. The whole Quentin and Laurel dad-daughter thing, it's getting really annoying.
Redundant.
To me. Yes, so redundant.
Either end the storyline or do something with it.
And spoiler, one of them or both of them die. So watch the season. I was like, when one of them died, it's like, yes, we won't see him anymore. But let me save that because we thought Laurel was dead, and she is dead, but the actress who plays her is still back on the show as Black Canary.
Characters don't die.
Exactly.
It was like Killer Frost. And
anything in this Flash Arrowverse, characters don't die, or it can be brought back somehow from one of these alternate universes, right? Yeah. Something else that I kind of liked in this season, basically everyone from all the other seasons make an appearance at some point. Deathstroke's in it. Sarah Lance, Roy Harper, Thea, Tommy Merlin even. So that's kind of interesting. And they even have the Human Target.
Cool.
This guy who can kind of I don't know if he shapeshifts, but he could. I think he shapeshifts, but he takes off the skin. I don't know. It's weird. But that's a really, really cool aspect of the show because there's one point where Oliver is on trial for being the Arrow. He's on trial. He's about to be convicted, and Christopher Chance, a.k.a. the Human Target, he's also an actor on Jessica Jones. He comes in as Arrow, but as a different character. I won't spoil it because it's kind of a fun little twist. And then basically because they see Arrow crashing in through the court and he goes on the stand and says, I'm the real Green Arrow, not Oliver Queen. Oliver Queen's able to escape.
That's very similar to what happened during The Flash, isn't that?
Yeah. There's some similarities between that. But this season there was also a few villains, and it kind of like that's what happened. I wasn't sure until episode 10 who the real villain was, because there was King James, aka the cyber hacker, and he was in, I believe, last season, and maybe even he had something to do with maybe Flash, or they talked about it a little bit. There was a crossover episode where Felicity was helping, I don't know, something like that. I could be wrong, but anyway, they talked about him in another season, but now we actually got to see him in this one. Basically, he's badass hacker who infiltrates Oliver's den or hideout, whatever you call it, and
learns who he is.
Yeah, and also, like, is able to set him up and blah blah blah. But then there's also some other villains. I think this guy, the Dragon, aka Ricardo Diaz, he's kind of like the main villain in it. And then there's also this Illuminati type organization called the Four Corners, which honestly kind of pans out to a whole lot of nothing. Like, Diaz eventually becomes the leader of them, but they were supposed to be this like almighty kind of power of the whole world, and the way he's able to overthrow them, if they really were that powerful, those scenarios never would have happened. So I didn't really love it, man, to be honest. And then again, we had Black Siren again, who, I was over it. Some other stuff that happens this season, Team Arrow breaks up. There's a lot of conflict within the team. And that's some cool parts of it, because there's two teams now. And eventually, by the end of the season, they come together and everything is good. But what happens at the very end of the season is Oliver gets the FBI to help him track down Diaz and stop him. And he works out a deal with the FBI because FBI knows who all of the vigilantes are now at this point. And he makes a deal with the FBI to give immunity to the rest of the team if he turns himself in as the Green Arrow, which he does. And that's how the season ends. Did I love the season? Definitely not. Did I hate it? No. But I think it's also time for that show to kind of
wrap it up.
Wrap it up, man. I mean, I don't know.
Losing a little bit of the flair, and they're kind of reaching for storyline arcs now.
Yeah. So moving on to a season that I enjoyed a lot.
I enjoyed this season too, actually.
We talked about it a little bit on our last episode of the podcast, but we were still a few episodes behind in the series. But while I was on the road, I got to finish it all. All right, so in season 4 of The Flash, we had the villain William Defoe, aka the Thinker. You know, I thought his outfit was kind of whack. He kind of looked like a Pulp Fiction gimp, sort of, to me.
Oh, I thought he was kind of cool. It was very Moduco.
Yeah, I mean, the actor was great.
Yeah, he was good.
Episode 22, when he enters Argus.
Yeah.
He is so badass because he's collected all these other Meta's abilities, and he's just like unstoppable. He's like melting guys or putting them through walls or just disintegrating them. I forgot, but I just remember I was like, oh shit, this is crazy.
I also liked how this is the first season we got a overall villain who wasn't a speedster.
Fact.
This is the first non-speedster villain. True. So it was kind of something new.
Yeah.
And the Flash couldn't overpower physically this villain. He had to outthink him.
Because, the Thinker the whole time was steps ahead of the Flash.
He knew everything
moment.
that was going to happen. He set everything up from the beginning, and I really liked that.
Which was cool. It was a cool angle. There were some episodes that I wasn't sure about, but by the time I got to the end of the season, I was like, okay, I dig it. Remember when he needed the new body at one point?
Yeah.
And I thought that other actor was going to play the Thinker for the rest of the time out. I was kind of like, oh, that sucks. Because I like that actor that they had for DeVoe. And then eventually he got a shape-shifting ability and was able to shape-shift back to his original form. The elongated man.
Yeah.
Another episode I really liked, episode 23, when they go inside DeVoe's mind and
I like that too.
Try to stop him by finding the good left inside of him.
And they find out there was no good left inside of him.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. So in the beginning of the season, the Thinker creates a bus full of metas in order to create the Enlightenment. I'm still not even sure what the Enlightenment was exactly. Basically, like dumbing down the whole world. Was that what it was?
The concept was that people are not smart enough to be smart. So you kind of dumb down the whole world, and the people who are left over that are smart will take over.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, that was but his plan was flawed, and that's why you saw what ended up being his outdoing at the end was that he never thought that his wife would turn on him, and she did.
Yeah, I didn't think his wife would turn on him either because she was a pretty badass for most of it.
Yeah, well, she was a part of it, but then she found out that he was secretly making her forget.
That was cool. That was a really cool angle in the show.
And she kind of realized that he was manipulating her just as much as he was manipulating everybody else. And that was why she decided, okay, this is not something that if he can turn on me, then he's not the same man that I fell in love with.
So some other things I liked about the season, there was a lot of cool metas, including Ralph, the elongated man. He was one of my favorite characters this season. At first, I hated him. By the middle of the season,
me too,
I loved him.
But I thought he was a great character.
And then at the end of the season, he was the hero, essentially, for the most part. In a lot of the scenarios, he became the hero.
He was able to teach Barry just as much as Barry was able to teach him.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't can't control every aspect. Like Barry was always like, oh, everything needs to be controlled. We need to plan everything out. And a lot of times Ralph was like, no, sometimes you just have to wing it.
And that's how they were able to stop DeVoe at one point, because DeVoe, what was he able to read their minds? And
he was able to figure out what their plan was going to be. And Ralph made him realize, well, you're planning everything out, and this is what DeVoe's already thought up of. But if you just kind of go it by the fly and like
and not have any thoughts in your head, he can't
outthink you.
Yeah, so that was cool.
It was really interesting.
One of my very, very favorite parts of this whole season, though, was Harrison Wells and the Council of Wells.
And the Council of the Wells, yes.
All right, let me ask you this. Which was your favorite Wells? All right, so let's set it up for
the Playboy Wells, maybe.
All right, let's set it up for the listeners. He creates a thinking cap because he wants to try to be as smart as the thinker. He wants to try to be as smart as DeVoe, and it degrades his intelligence. So what he does is he finds other Wells from other universe to try to help him stop DeVoe. So we had some really funny ones throughout this season. You like the Hugh Hefner?
The Hugh Hefner-esque
one? I liked the Italian, like, Guido one. That was funny. The actor who plays Wells is so good, man.
That guy deserves an Emmy. Because throughout all 4 seasons, he's played multiple different personalities that I completely bought. It wasn't like just him acting. It was, I believed he was a different Wells.
And if I have to pick a Wells from another season that's my favorite, I pick HR.
Yeah, of course.
He was so awesome. And he was like the hero at the end. I didn't see that coming, but...
I also liked how at one point when they were going through different Wells to meet up with, they had Gandalf Wells.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about after they defeat DeVoe. All right, so DeVoe comes back as a hologram, and he performs at Coachella. No, I'm just kidding. But he does come back as a hologram, and he pulls the dead man switch, so to speak, and it makes a satellite come crashing to Earth. This is like the last episode. So Barry uses like a supersonic force punch to stop it, but you also see a fist of another speedster stopping this satellite.
Now, throughout the season, this random girl has been coming up and kind of talking to them and like meeting them at the coffee shop, who actually, she's an actress, Jessica Parker. She was in one of my favorite shows, Black Sails. She played
a very big... say Dawson's Creek.
No, yeah. Dude, I asked you not to tell anybody. But she was a big part in Black Sails, and when I saw her, I kind of I was like, oh my God, there's Jessica Parker. It's Max.
Yeah, and at the end of the very end of the episode, we see Nora West Allen, Barry and Aris's daughter from the future. She pops up randomly throughout the season, like you mentioned, and she's obviously the other speedster that helped Barry destroy the satellite. And she says, I'm your daughter, Nora.
I made a huge mistake.
From the future, and I think I made a big mistake. And that's how it ends.
I loved how that ended because it was very symbolic of Barry from season 2 to season 3.
Yeah.
How he went in the past and he changed something, and now their daughter did the exact same thing that Barry made a mistake on. So it made me be like, oh my God, what's going to happen in season 5?
Yeah, they're very good at writing these shows, and they end every season with that anticipation
wanting to see what
for the
happened.
next season.
Yeah.
You know? One thing that slipped by me, when did Kid Flash join Legends of Tomorrow? I think I missed that.
I know
he left, but I don't really watch Legends that much, so I'm sure he's introduced at some point in there, and then they mentioned it in one of the episodes where he says where Kid Flash's dad, what's his name? Joe. Where Joe says, he's running around, who knows what time he's in. And I was like, oh, he's with the Legends? And yeah, that's where he is now. So I guess in whatever season of Legends they're on.
They've made a really good job making it where in order, you do need to watch some of the other shows. Like with the Crisis on Infinite.
Which is a great crossover.
Part 3.
Episode.
Where they're in like the Nazi universe. Like all of a sudden I was watching it. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But I found out it was part 3. So I had to stop watching it, go to the other
Same
two
thing
shows
that
and
happened
have
to
to
me
watch
too.
1 and 2.
I missed one of the episodes. I watched them out of order. And I was like, oh, okay.
But I loved the crossover.
Yeah.
And then like it it was a really good storyline of like Nazi Earth and that they had the metas like in kind of in isolation.
Oh yeah, they were
and
hunting
that
them down. Yeah.
Supergirl was actually a Nazi. And she was their power play.
Yeah, and there was also like there was an evil Arrow. There was all these alternate.
Well, he was the head of the Nazi party.
Yeah,
Oliver was the head of the Nazi party.
Some really creative writing.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot. Yo, there was this really funny moment in the last episode, toward the end of the episode, where Cisco and Wells is having a conversation, and Wells says to Cisco, "You have been and always will be my friend." And they both say at the same time, "Kill him." And Iris looks at Barry and says, "Star Wars?" And Barry shakes his head no, because it was actually a quote
it was from Star Trek. Yeah,
and I was like, oh my God, that's so funny.
It was from, I think, Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
And that actually made me crack up, too, because when she was like, "Star Wars?" And he's
because
like, no.
she felt like
no,
she
Star
understood
Trek.
the reference finally after all these seasons of all these geeky conversations, much like we're having right now. This hot babe thought she knew like the reference, and it was like the complete like you don't confuse these two worlds, Star Wars, Star Trek, because fans will get pissed.
Because I said Star Trek when he said the quote, and I was like, "Oh, it's a Star Trek
but just
quote."
such
And then
great
she goes,
writing
"Oh, it's
throughout that
excellent."
season, with all the pop culture references. Cisco was great throughout it.
The Council of the Wells. I really loved how Cecile is pregnant and now she could read minds.
Yeah, when the pizza delivery guy came, that was so funny. I was like, what the hell is going on? When she started talking like a surfer dude.
She started bringing in their personalities.
Yeah.
That was really fun. I liked how they brought Cecile into the Arrowverse and their family a lot more. I thought it was awesome.
So that last season of Flash, awesome. Last season of Arrow, not bad, but I kind of feel once again they need to wrap it up. But really, really good writing, I think, though, coming from
it's
the
a
DC
fun show.
TV shows. Yeah,
it's a very fun show.
And then we got some movies coming out. We got in just a few short days, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, no, I am too. At first I wasn't, but now, because I'm still high off of Infinity War. I'm eager to see where this Ant-Man storyline fits in. I believe it's going to be pre-Infinity War.
Kevin Feige has been kind of leaving hints that this will lead into Infinity War 4. Like, because this does hint at
that's what I'm saying.
War.
That's what I'm excited. So it's going to be kind of like, I think it'll be the events before Infinity War, but then end with
Avengers 4.
Something like that, going into the quantum realm. And that's what I'm super stoked about, to see how Ant-Man's going to fit in the next Avengers film, because he's going to be in it. And I have a feeling he's going to go into that quantum realm, into the Soul Stone perhaps, rescue our heroes or take someone out to help defeat Thanos, whatever it may be. But yeah, I'm on board for this, for sure.
It's going to be great.
And then we also got an animated movie coming. Teen Titans Go to the Movies. I'm actually excited about this. I know some people hate on this series, but I dig it a lot.
Man, Nick Cage finally gets to be Superman.
Yeah, and that's going to come out July 27th. I actually had an opportunity at VidCon. I was DJing out at VidCon last week, and they had a premiere for it. Or not a premiere, whatever, like a early release of it. But because I want to take my niece and nephew, I skipped out because I was like...
Oh, what a great uncle.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I would have saw it.
But I did get my nephew an awesome Robin backpack that they were giving out for free.
Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, you gave it to your uncle, your nephew? You can't give it to me?
Sorry, man. All right, so yeah, that's it for all of the TV stuff and news. You want to jump into Deadpool 2?
Absolutely.
All right, let me start. You hear the sigh because you might know where I'm going with this.
Do you want me to start, or?
No, because let me tell you why I sighed. I went into Deadpool 1 with no expectations at all. And was amazed. Loved it. One of my favorite superhero, whatever, anti-hero, whatever you want to call them, comic book films of all time. Exceeded all my expectations, Deadpool 1. I think the problem with Deadpool 2 was, for me, was my expectations were way too high for two reasons. One, because Deadpool 1 was so good, and because I think I was still riding on that high of Infinity War, that I was like, every comic book movie coming out is going to be epic like Infinity War. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it at all, but I thought it wasn't great.
Wow. I'm surprised.
I know, yeah. I was surprised because I'm a huge Deadpool
because
fan.
I have an absolutely opposite viewpoint of it.
But let me say this. I saw it twice, and after my expectations were lowered, going in the second time, I enjoyed it a whole lot more because there are so many jokes that I missed the first time around. But let me ask you before we get into all that, what did you think of it?
I loved it. I went into it because I went in with low expectations, just like I went into the first one. I thought, okay, there's no way this is going to be A, as good as Deadpool 1, or B, as good as Infinity War. I liked it better than the first one. Now, I didn't think it was, oh my God, it's so much better than the first one. I thought it was more, hey, I found $20. My day is better than the first one. I thought it was, yeah. I thought that it was just as good as the first one, and certain characters that were added into it, it made it just a tad bit better. It was a Deadpool comic book.
That's what I was going to say. That's what it felt like to me. It felt very much so like a three series comic book, you know, because I feel like there was 3 definitive like story arcs in this film. So with that, I guess let's give a quick synopsis of the film, and then we'll go into some of our favorite scenes and details. So, spoiler alert, everyone dies. Just kidding. Kind of, sort of, but really, so it starts off with, we see Deadpool. He's basically international now. He's the merc with the mouth. He's a gun for hire, going around to all these different countries and cities and taking out bad guys and being paid for it. And it's humorous, you know. There's, you know, some slapstick comedy in there, like when he's at the strip club and he's got the heels on. Or there's one funny scene where he's in the sauna bath or whatever you call it, and the guy's junk is right by his face, and he goes, "Scoutmaster Kevin." You know, there's like a
these small little add-ons made it so much more enjoyable. Like, I loved when he goes back to his girlfriend and she's like, "Oh, how was your day?" And he was like, "Oh, well, had to destroy a bunch of bad guys, but I was gonna kill the boss, but we found out that his mom's name was Martha too."
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh man, throwing shade at
ton of funny one-liners throughout this. I give it that for sure. Basically, you know, he's not able to stop one of the bad guys, and he goes home to his girlfriend Vanessa, who tells him that she took out her IUD, and he thinks it's an explosive device when it's really her birth control. And they decide that they're gonna start a family. I thought it was funny that their foreplay was watching Yentl. Yeah. Was that what it was?
That was also a great
ongoing joke.
Great ongoing joke how in Yentl, Papa Can You Hear Me is the same song as Do You Want to Build a Snowman from Frozen, and he got so angry about that.
Yeah, so
he was like, it's the same song. How can no one hear this?
So they're sitting on the couch, you know, about to, I guess, get busy and
watching Barbra Streisand.
Yeah, and he hears a noise and he tells Vanessa to get down, and all these bad guys come rushing into his apartment, and basically the bad guy ends up shooting Vanessa, and she ends up dying, and their whole plans for the future are destroyed. And you know, Deadpool's all depressed.
No, he's pissed.
Well, he's pissed first. Yeah, let's start there. I like the way he killed the bad guy. When he grabs him, hugs him, and then throws both bodies into
outside
the ongoing truck.
Yeah.
No, onto the truck.
Into the truck, yeah.
Into the truck. He was trying to kill himself because he was pissed, but he was also depressed. He lost his wife. He lost the mother of his life. The future mother of his child. They were going to start a family together. And obviously, with his mutant ability, he's not able to kill himself that way. So he decides to blow himself up, essentially, right? And he blows himself up. And that's where Colossus comes in to collect the pieces of Wade and put him back together, and brings him back to the X-Men mansion.
Which is another great scene where he makes another joke about how there are no X-Men in the X-Men mansion. But then as he's looking away, you see James McAvoy, the Beast.
Oh, a bunch of the characters from the other X-Men films. I know Quicksilver was in there.
Kind of like
Cyclops was in there.
Looking totally uninterested in talking.
And there was a lot of funny jokes in the mansion right there. I can't even think of them all, but so many funny points in this movie, so many pop culture references and comic book references at that, and even taking jabs at co-creator Rob, I think it's Layfield. That was funny. So that was kind of act one of the story. So now act two is basically they're at the mansion, and now Wade's a X-Men in training.
He's trying to be an X-Men.
Yeah, and him trying is funny as hell.
Because he wants to kill, and Colossus keeps telling him no killing.
Yeah. So there's this kind of a school for bad kids with abilities that's run by some creeps.
It was run by the Essex Corp, which is Mr. Sinister's group.
I
so
totally
it's
missed
almost
that.
like a mutant testing facility where they were torturing
and they were
young
testing this one oversized kid. What was his name?
Russell Collins.
Fire Fist.
Which I thought he was great because he was a very flawed character. That's why I loved him as the villain / not villain, because he was this really big kid who obviously would have been picked on in school, but now he's got this ability and this rage that makes him even more of a target.
And again, these people at this school or detention center, whatever the heck it was, are testing him,
and they want to use his power for nefarious
reasons. So
he's,
out of control and trying to hurt people, and the X-Men and Wade come in to stop him, and Wade realizes that, like, hey, this kid isn't the one who's in the wrong. It's these creeps that are running this place. So Wade kills the guy he calls Jared Kushner in the head, which is a great line, so current, so on point. And then he tries to kill the head of I'm going to just keep calling it detention center because I don't know what to call it.
It's the Mutant Re-Education Center.
There you go. Okay, so Mutant Re-Education Center. He tries to kill the other guy, and basically him and Fire Fist end up getting these collars put on them,
which suppresses
their powers, and then they're put in a jail, like a mutant jail. That's act two, and this is kind of where Cable gets introduced. Now let me stop there and let's kind of talk about a few things. I thought the Cable stuff could have been written a little bit better. When we usually do the good, the bad, and the ugly, this is what I have for my bad. I thought Cable could have been written better. I felt like it was a hard turn in the movie when we got to the Cable part. It was just kind of like, all right, that's that part of the movie, and now here's Cable. And for me, it kind of felt a little forced. It also felt very Terminator-like.
Yeah,
it literally was
when they
Terminator.
went into the past, but maybe that was done on purpose as almost satire.
Yeah, for sure, I could see that. What did you feel about Vanessa's death?
It surprised me.
I
was surprised, but I knew.
But it was the driving force of the movie.
That had to be the catalyst that sent him. Like, it was almost opposite of what you would expect. Like, because it sent him into the arms of the X-Men, and normally someone in that position would go crazy and start killing people. But he's already crazy and killing people, so he tries to actually change himself. And he goes, "All right, well, Vanessa's dead. She wouldn't want me killing anybody anymore. Let me try to be the good guy now." But he can't be the good guy because that's not who he is. Yeah. And I kind of liked how it was very opposing of what normally would happen in a story.
Yeah. So that was cool. I like that. Do you want to talk about some of our favorite jokes of the movie?
Yeah.
I have a lot. And we could just kind of bounce off each other with these. But when Deadpool called Cable One-Eye Willie, that was such a throwback to Josh Brolin.
I had to explain to our friend that was from The Goonies.
The Goonies, because Josh Brolin played the older brother in The Goonies, and One-Eye Willie was the pirate treasure that they were looking for. Yeah, so that was funny. We said it before. There's no X-Men in the mansion, but then we see that one scene with some of the other X-Men behind that one door. That was cool. Nice little nods to the fans, you know.
I loved when he called Negasonic Teenage Warhead Justin Bieber.
Yes, that was funny when Fire Fist called him. When he called Negasonic Justin Bieber, that was good. When ready for this though? When Deadpool calls Domino the Black Widow, dude, I was dying when he said that.
I love how he kept making fun of her, that her power isn't really a power.
Yeah.
He's like, luck's not a power, but things kept happening that like went into their favor. And he's like, I still think that's a coincidence. It's not a power.
Okay. There was another part where Wade says, "My superpower is just unbridled cancer. Give me a bow and arrow, and I'm basically Hawkeye." I was like, yep, you're pretty much right about that. Or this was one of my favorites. When he's introduced to Black Tom Cassidy, and he goes, I think he says something along the lines of, and who are you? He goes, Black Tom Cassidy. Oh, White Wade Wilson. What's your superpower? Cultural appropriation? I was like, yes. There's so many good lines. Or,
I think my favorite part was with Juggernaut. When he got, are we talking about that?
Yeah, you can talk
was
about
when
it.
Juggernaut got revealed, and he was just like, "Oh, Juggernaut, I loved you," and X-Men United number 55,
Yes.
and he started labeling off comic books.
Again, references to comic books,
that
like
Juggernaut
actual
was
comic
in.
books.
And
yes.
then Juggernaut goes, "Oh, I'm gonna rip you in half," and he goes, "Oh, that's such a Juggernaut thing to say."
Yes. And then he was like, at one point, like, "Oh, I always wanted to meet you. I always wanted to have you come charging at me, but just not right now, not in this moment," or
And
something
then he
like
rips
that.
him in half, and
Yeah.
he goes, "I can't feel my legs," and you, oh, they're over here.
Yeah. Or the scene where Cable's shooting at Deadpool and Deadpool's spinning the blades around. And remember, this is kind of a callback to Wolverine Origins.
Yeah.
Where that one of the first scenes with Deadpool, he enters the building off the elevator and all those gangsters are shooting him and he's taking his sword, swinging it, and he's blocking every single
And
bullet.
he goes, "Okay, everyone's dead."
But now in this one, he's doing that same thing, but all the bullets have hit
Are
him,
actually
and he's
hitting
like,
him.
"Ouch!" That was great. It definitely had me giggling at that part. But I think, some of the other parts that were so good were the DC references. You're so dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe?
Yeah, they threw a lot of shade at other movies.
You know,
when
the-
he calls him Thanos.
Yes, that was good too. So current, so on point. The trailer really did give away a lot of the best jokes, though, in the movie, I felt.
I don't know. I thought that some of the more hidden jokes were like subtle,
Yeah. Then we had X-Force.
which was
funny.
Terry Crews was great.
It was a great setup. And I think it worked well for the film, for what it was. You know
Because
what I mean?
it didn't overshadow the film. It really wasn't that big of a part.
No, but we thought going into it, the
It was gonna
X-Force was
be a
going to be
huge part.
huge, but it really wasn't.
They
It-
died 10 minutes
It
after.
was literally,
they
they were throwaway characters with the exception of Domino, but it was a hilarious moment. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The Brad Pitt cameo was hilarious as the Invisible Man.
Random.
So
random.
apparently Brad Pitt's kids were a really big fan of Deadpool 1, so that's how they were able to get him in this. And Taylor Swift's cat made a cameo. That was her cat in the X-Men mansion. There was the Stan Lee cameo. Did you catch it? It was
he
actually
played the DJ in the strip club, right?
No, that was in part 1.
Oh.
In this one, it was actually just a graffiti on the side of the wall with Stan Lee's face on it. And I think it said something, I forgot, but that was our
I didn't
Stan Lee
catch that.
cameo. It was during the Domino scene, the chase scene in the car and then the trucks. Yeah, a lot of people missed
That was
that
actually we're going to go into favorite scenes, and that's one of my
Yeah, so let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, Domino. Domino
Absolutely.
was she was one of my favorite parts of this film.
She was cool.
Her ability, watching it on the big screen, was so epic.
It's
It
kind of
was
like
fun.
Jinx from The Flash.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of that ability.
Her ability to make things positively happen around her, and also with Deadpool mocking her about it.
Yeah, the whole time.
Saying that's not I still don't think that's a power, but yet things so they so randomly happened that were so coincidental that he couldn't even deny it. It was like, all right, that was kind of cool. Like,
And there's one point where she's driving the truck that she lets go, and she says, "Lady Luck, take the wheel," or
take the
something like
wheel,
that.
yeah.
and just it was so great. They don't obviously care about killing anyone else because I'm pretty sure that truck drove into a building, some cars, blah blah blah. But it was really funny.
Yeah, collateral damage isn't really an important factor in Deadpool films.
Yeah.
We saw a guy die by a wood chipper.
That was funny. Or before that, getting his arm sprayed with acid and his arm
and it was like, and then Deadpool goes, "Oh, that's so gross."
So another one of your favorite parts was Juggernaut, right?
Juggernaut was my favorite part because I know you knew that was, but I actually went into this fresh with, I didn't actually read anything. I kind of was just like, all right, we're going to go see this movie for the podcast. And I wasn't as much vested into this film because after Infinity War, like my hype was all like, feel exhausted about movies right now. But when Juggernaut came out, I was like, oh my God, that is so awesome. Not only was Juggernaut, but Juggernaut from the comic.
Yeah, and they even make a reference to why he was wearing the helmet, because he says, so my brother can't get into my head, meaning Professor X, and that's why Juggernaut always wore the helmet in the comics, that Professor X couldn't read his mind or control him. So
it was a very nice surprise for me.
Again, my bad is just the bad that I don't like about the film. I thought Cable was a little abrupt. I think it could have been written a little bit better. I didn't hate it. I just think the story writing could have been a little bit better there. Do you have anything? Okay,
this is my bad, but also I think it's hilarious. A lot of people loved it. The baby legs with the dick scene from the Fatal Attraction. It was just, I was like,
too much.
They just did that. I was like, I have that.
And it was kind of like a redundant joke because they did that with the hand in the first one.
Yeah, I mean that's what they were referencing.
Yeah,
and like it was TJ. I have to say, TJ Miller stole the movie.
He was pretty funny in it,
I thought he was hilarious, especially when he's like, look at the baby legs with the long shirt. Like,
do you have the ugly, like worse than it being bad, like things that really needed to be better in the movie?
Honestly, I don't think so. I really love this movie.
Maybe after I tell you mine, you might feel differently.
I'll tell you the truth, John. I would put this in my top 10 comic films.
Yeesh. All right.
I really like this movie.
Difference of opinion, but
I really thought that it was so much fun. Maybe because I just went into it with really low expectations, not thinking it was going to be anything great, and thinking, all right, after Infinity War, it's all over. And I was like, wow, that was so much more fun than I was expecting.
All right, check this out. I'm going to go back to talking about the bad writing and how it should have been better, because why didn't they just have Deadpool at the end of the movie take off the collar and use his mutant ability to heal?
Like cut his head off?
Something, or shoot the collar off, anything. There's all these people standing around him in this extended death scene where it takes him like 7 minutes to die.
I thought that was kind of funny.
That was kind of funny, but at the same time, think about it though. All they had to do was take the collar off of him, and he could have healed himself.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have died. So in that same thing, in that same notion, they only had one last charge on the time machine. Cable doesn't ever think to try to fix the time machine. Cable could have went back in time, saved Vanessa, being that Deadpool basically just saved his family. You know what I mean? That would have been a better trade-off, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
It was cool. I like the coin thing from the token.
I don't think Deadpool actually wanted to live. I think he kind of is over the fact that he has to die over and over again. That's why they didn't take the collar off.
I think we saw that in the story, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying? Like, some of this stuff doesn't really necessarily make sense.
Well, it's a Deadpool comic.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to make sense.
I mean, come on, man. Like
you want continuity.
It could have been better writing for it. You know what I mean? Because we see Cable's the bear was not bloodied and ashy anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
It was whole. So that told Cable
that his family is
safe.
Okay.
And if he only had one charge left on the time machine, he could have went back and saved Vanessa in that initial scene, and he would have never had to come back in time to stop the kid. Right?
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know.
When you mess with time travel, there's always going to be issues with what makes sense and what doesn't make sense.
And again, this is just me nitpicking, for the sake of the podcast.
Yeah.
I liked the movie. I didn't love it. Not in my top 10. somewhere toward maybe 11 or 12, somewhere, definitely in top 15. But one of the things I really did love about this movie, though, the end credits. That was some of the best writing in this. It was so freaking good and funny.
Do you think they actually got Hugh Jackman back to film that scene?
I don't know. I mean, it kind of just looked like a scene from the movie.
But he did reference him, I think. Like, I'm almost positive.
Well, he just said, "Wade, is that you?" But I'm pretty sure he said that in Origins.
No, he did say that in Origin, but then like he kind of made a weird face after he shoots him.
I saw that. Yeah, so maybe it was a quick little cameo.
Maybe they got him to film just one quick scene.
Yeah. So the bonus scene was Deadpool gets Negasonic and her Yukio. Was it Yukio?
It's Yukio.
Yukio. There
Hi,
you go.
Yukio.
Yeah.
Yes, hi, Yukio.
So
Hi,
he
Wade.
gets them to fix the time machine, and as soon as they do, they realize that that was probably
She
a bad
goes,
mistake.
"What have we
What have we done?" So he goes back in time and saves Vanessa. Obviously, we knew that was happening, but this is the part that I loved. He goes back to fix the timelines. He goes back to
Saves Peter.
well, he saves X-Force.
Yeah.
But I think it starts off with going back to X-Men Origins, right?
No, he saves Peter first. He doesn't even save all of X-Force. He just stops Peter from saving the other guy in the wood chipper.
Oh,
which
yes,
then sets
you're
up
right, you're right.
He goes, just let it go. Just go home. You're done. You're done.
Yeah.
And then he goes back
And then
to
he goes back to
Origins.
X-Men Origins where he sees Wolverine and he shoots the other Deadpool in the head.
And then he pops his head over the side and he goes, sorry, just fixing continuity issue.
Yeah, that was great because that was always like the ongoing joke that other Deadpool was so bad,
Awful.
right? Like an awful version of it. And then he also goes back. This is so great when he goes to Ryan Reynolds' home, and Ryan Reynolds sitting there with the
Reading
script
Green
for
Lantern.
Green Lantern, and he says, "Oh, this is gonna be my big break," and he kills Ryan Reynolds.
And then he looks at the camera and goes, you're welcome, Canada.
Yeah, so good. Oh, I saw Deadpool 2 in Canada, as a matter of fact, and there was a couple Canadian jokes in it, and the fans at the theater were cracking up there. So that was good.
And then he trolled us at the end of the credits because we are so conditioned as fans to wait till the way end of the credits. And like in the last one, he came out with the Ferris Bueller's Day Off mock-up. Yep. And in this one, there was nothing.
Yeah.
I feel like that was purposely a trolling by Ryan Reynolds.
Maybe.
Going, they're going to wait for the end of the credits and there's not going to be anything.
All right, so here's my question to you, though. Are we to assume that Vanessa and Peter of X-Force, are they really alive? Are they alive? Is like that?
No. I'm going to assume, I actually went into this movie assuming that this is the last Deadpool movie we're going to see.
Interesting, because I hear they're supposed to still be making an X-Force movie.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's going to be even connected to this.
Interesting. Well, there was the one joke in the commercial trailer where he goes, they'll probably won't even make a third, where he says that.
And he said it before in trailers before, in interviews before,
Listen,
that this is probably the last
I could use
one.
another Deadpool movie for sure.
Oh, no, I could use another Deadpool movie, but if this Fox-Disney merger happens, there's no way on heaven or earth Disney's making a movie like this.
Damn. Very good point.
Now, Comcast may.
Yeah.
Comcast possibly will, but Comcast may
now
actually go
Now I got to
into...
root for Comcast, the evil empire.
I mean, but they might not even be interested in the movie section. They may just be interested in the television section. But I really went into this thinking, okay, this is the last Deadpool movie. We're not getting another.
Something else I want to mention about this movie, all the promo that they had for this movie was so great. Everywhere I went, the subway, the advertisements on the subway,
7-Eleven.
going to 7-Eleven. He's selling cheesesteak microwavable sandwiches on my Instagram feed, Monster energy drinks. It was everywhere, and I didn't mind it because it kind of made fun of itself.
It made fun of itself.
Yeah.
And one of the microwavable food ones, like one of the girls looking in the grocery aisle, she goes, what are you selling out? And he goes, yes, I'm selling out. And he totally made fun of him. So it was satirizing.
Yes, and that was cool. I like that. That was fun. All right, so I guess that puts a bow on Deadpool.
Yeah,
You have anything else?
It was amazing. I think that it was really, especially coming out of Infinity War and going, all right, how can anything be as good as that? It was a different movie. Can I compare it? Absolutely not. But was I upset? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I would buy it on DVD.
I would too. Of course I would. Again, seeing it the second time around, there was so many jokes that I missed the first time I saw it. There's jokes on top of jokes sometimes. So the first time I saw it, people were laughing so loud in the theater, you didn't hear the next joke that hit. So this is a movie you got to watch like 7 times to catch all the references.
And it's a fun movie. You wouldn't be upset you caught it the second time.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Brolin was great as Cable, I thought. I wasn't mad at his acting. I was just kind of mad at the writing of it.
We didn't get as much of a character development with Cable.
As I thought we would, right?
Well, I mean, because I see where you're coming from. He was a cliche character. Coming back to the past to correct his family getting killed. And, like, of course, the vigilante wants to stop him because he wants to kill a kid. Like, you know, so, of course, that can't happen. And so it's kind of like, all right, we've seen this multiple times before, but it's Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
And actually, I liked Fire Fist. I thought that he was such a tragic character that he was a great villain because he wasn't really necessarily.
I like the Winter Soldier reference.
Yes.
That was funny. All right, let's end it there. That's Deadpool 2. Let's move on. All right, Solo, a Star Wars story. So, ready for this, Ben? Here's my reaction. I didn't want to see this movie. I didn't care to see this movie at all.
I saw it because
I had very little interest to see this movie, and I decided, what the hell, let me see it. My expectations were so low going into this movie, and I left it loving it, actually. I was like, this is cool. And what I didn't understand, we talked about this before, so many people hated it.
Yeah.
But to me, it was a fun ride.
It was a space pirate movie.
It wasn't my favorite Star Wars movie by any means, but it definitely lands somewhere in the middle and not on the bottom of the list.
Oh my God, it was so much better than The Last Jedi. And it was better than episode 1 and 2.
So much better than The Last Jedi and 1 and 2, like you just said. 100% guaranteed. If you disagree, I don't know what your reasoning is. I really think
I saw a different movie than other people saw.
Yeah, me too.
First off, when I go into these movies, I look for action sci-fi. And that's exactly what we got.
It was a fun movie.
I like pirate movies, and it was a space pirate movie.
It was a heist movie.
It was a heist movie, exactly.
The actor who played Han Solo was great, I thought. I think it was a good tribute to Harrison Ford.
Yes.
He had a lot of the mannerisms or that kind of like the charisma that Han Solo had in the original ones.
The
just a younger version.
Cockiness, but also had empathy in it, too.
Yeah, and that's one of the complaints actually people did have was that when we meet the original Han Solo in episode 1, or episode 4, I should say, if you want to nerd out about this.
They're going to.
He is kind of like a sleazebag. You know, for the most part, he starts off kind of this, well,
he's a hustler.
Yeah.
He's a hustler.
Whereas in this one, they made him more of like a sympathetic hero.
Well, he grew up as a slave. I liked him joining the Empire. I thought that was great, that he was trying to use the military to get back home so he could see the love of his life.
Yeah.
And then he sees Beckett and Val and Rio, and he realizes that they're not really, they're just
not who they say they are. Because he says, you must have taken that suit from a dead body because there's a bunch of laser burns in it. And I was like, oh, snap.
And that also brings out Han Solo's really perceptiveness.
Yeah.
He's very smart. He's not a dumb guy.
But he did try to blackmail him, and
it didn't work.
Woody Harrelson's character was just as sneaky and smart and is able to convince a higher-ranking official that Solo was a deserter.
Yeah. He was trying to desert.
And this is where we get introduced to Chewie.
Which I thought was awesome.
I thought it was a great story of their introduction. I dug it. I thought it was fun. I knew exactly when they said feed him to the monster. I knew it was going to be Chewie.
I thought it was going to be a Rancor, like a callback.
A lot of people thought
Return
that,
of the Jedi.
And then they throw him in that pit, and then you see this he's muddy and looking all crazy,
yeah.
and it was fun because
and it starts off with him speaking Wookiee to Chewbacca, and I love that.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. Like we finally see him talking Wookiee.
I thought he was at first. Chewbacca was like kind of pushing his head into the mud, and I thought he was gonna drown him, and I thought he was just like gargling the mud, but it was like Wookiee talk, and then he starts like he goes, "Yeah, I know a little."
I know a little Wookiee. Yeah.
It was a cool introduction to their dynamic, and then when they escape from it, they're still chained at the legs, and they try to run in different directions, and then Chewie's so strong that he just drags
He just yanks
Han
him off his feet.
Let's go back real quick though to the beginning of the film where Han gets his name. What'd you think of that? I thought it was kind of cool.
I liked it.
But some people have beef with it.
No, well, this is the thing that it was kind of like how he goes, "Oh, Solo," because the guy called him Han Solo because he was by himself.
Yeah,
right?
he goes name, he goes Han, family name.
I don't
have
any
one
family.
because he
goes,
was
"Oh,
he
Solo."
was an orphan, right?
You know, that's very a callback to immigration back in the time in
Yeah,
America.
oh, yeah,
where
yeah.
they would they would be just give you a random name based upon what you did.
I
or
liked it. So the security guy he thinks for a minute and he goes Solo, and I was like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
that's cool with me. I don't need we don't need to have that be his family name. It was a cool little
Which was exactly why his last name was Solo in A New Hope, because he was by himself. He
Yeah.
was an individual. He was a lone wolf. That was why George Lucas gave him the name to begin with.
Yeah.
So-
all right. So going back to him and Chewie escaping, they're able to find Woody Harrelson and his crew,
Which was great because we talked about this before. I thought it was a space pirate movie, and Woody Harrelson was almost
needed
like
a crew.
He was like a long John Silver character.
Yeah.
Because he had like the robotic leg.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he needed
Well, he had this mission that he was gonna this heist that he was setting up, and he had planned.
He had to pay back Voss for like the missing fuel.
Yeah. But he didn't have enough manpower for it, so they hop on board and they're trying to go steal this fuel. Now, one thing that I learned in this movie, Ben, was that Vision is an asshole.
Oh, he was a great villain, wasn't
No,
he?
the actor was a great villain, but the whole time I'm thinking Vision.
Yeah, well, I've seen him, and he was like in other movies that I saw, like A Knight's Tale, and but yeah, he is definitely Vision.
Yeah.
But I loved how when he got angrier, the lines on his face.
was that about? I didn't know
don't
what that
know.
was.
I thought we were going to be. See, I thought we were going to learn something more about him.
Yeah, me
as
too.
like there was something underneath, but. I kind of liked how they just made you think, all right, well, that was a part of his species. When he gets enraged, like these lines become more apparent and more redder.
And I really loved Khaleesi in this.
She was great.
I always call her Khaleesi because I forget her real name. But she was great, and her role was pretty cool, I thought. And I don't think that's the end of her character. Like, if they do another Solo movie...
Which I guess they're not.
Which maybe they might not be. I mean, obviously, I guess because they didn't do well. But I could see there being a lot more to her story.
See, I love the ending at the ending, and we're going to go into spoilers again. So if you've been upset about spoilers already, you're going to be upset now. Darth Maul. The second I saw the robotic legs, I knew it was Darth Maul because I watched I watched half of the Rebels television show, and he was a very important part of season 2. They showed he had robotic legs.
Yeah.
And at the end, they make you think that she was betraying Voss for Solo, but in reality, she just hated Voss.
Yeah.
She betrayed Voss for Maul.
Yeah. That was
and
a cool
she left.
surprise. I was that was a little moment I was like, ooh.
Yeah. She did not betray Voss for Solo. She had no loyalty to him anymore.
It wasn't as exciting to me as the Darth Vader scene at the end of Rogue One.
No,
but it was still a cool little it got me
was a
excited for
fan-favorite
another
character.
movie.
Yeah. And also to bring up some of the Rebels backstory. So in the Rebels television show, they explain how Darth Maul took over. He ended up not even becoming Darth Maul anymore. He's just Maul, and he ended up becoming a huge crime boss, which we saw in this. And in that, he organized the Mandalorians. And if you look in the back, you saw like a Boba Fett type of outfit. And that was what I thought we would be getting in like a future movie where maybe you get introduced to Boba Fett. because Boba Fett may be working for him.
Yeah. And you also have some other theories about this movie and some of the characters and who they might
So
be.
there was a character introduced, Enfys Nest, a fair-haired, red-headed woman who is very young, and she's in charge of this bandit crew that keeps trying to steal from Beckett and the crew. Now, a lot of theories are online saying, oh, it's Darth Maul's daughter, blah, blah, blah. I think it's Mon Mothma, the head of the rebellion. Because if you think about what happens, she ends up getting 65 million worth of fuel. And even Khaleesi says it, that there's enough fuel in that to kind of
start a rebellion.
Start up an entire army, a naval force. So who better to get that than the head of the rebellion that we see in Rogue
theory.
One,
I like it.
Empire Strikes Back, New Hope, and the Return to the Jedi. And what also leads me to think this is if you look in the background with her group of rebels, when Solo gives her the fuel, there's a character who has a black mask and also tubes coming out of his neck. That's actually Benthic, the alien that we see a part of Saw Gerrera's group in Rogue One.
Cool.
And it has been confirmed it's the same character.
Nice. Interesting.
So what I think happens is that this takes place maybe 20 years before all that. He joins the rebellion. They spark the rebellion with all of the fuel and money that Solo gives them. But then Saw Gerrera joins, and he becomes a little bit too extreme, as was stated in the Rogue One movie. And Bethnick betrays Mon Mothma and joins Saw Gerrera's group.
Interesting.
And I really think that we were supposed to think that Enfys Nest was supposed to be Mon Mothma, because if you look at her young, and I've done photo by photo pictures of them.
Maybe we should put it up on Instagram.
I will definitely put it. I have it made. I will definitely put it up on Instagram.
Yeah, and let us know what you think of that theory. If Ben is on point with this, or you think he's way off. You know, that character, I liked the character when it was masked, but then when she became unmasked and I knew it was like a little kid, I was like, wait, it was such a badass. And she is a badass, but I don't know. I kind of was like,
But if she joins to be one of the
But if it's your theory, then I'm like, ooh, that's cool. Then then now I'm like on board again. One of the points in the movie that I think is part of my bad and the ugly is the Kessel Run.
Oh, really? That's one of my favorite parts.
I always thought the Kessel Run was like an actual race. That's what it seemed like to me. And it ended up kind of being just like them escaping through this path that was very hard to maneuver around.
Well, Kessel was the planet in the middle of this maelstrom, and that's where all of this fuel was made. And now it was done normally in 22 seconds, going from the beginning to the end, from the beginning of the maelstrom to the planet. It was just one clear path that you had to go around, and if you messed up, you were in the middle of this huge space storm that would destroy your ship.
Yeah.
Well, Solo found a hole. And that's why it was a joke. He goes, I did the Kessel Run in 12 seconds.
Yeah.
And then Chewie said something and he goes, I'm rounding down, buddy. And it was, I thought it was actually kind of cool. And that was one of my favorite parts, was when they were going through the Kessel, they were kind of going through that one little slip that they found they would safely passage through. Which was also a call
back to the beginning of the film,
A New Hope.
Oh, I was gonna
when he goes sideways, and when he goes sideways in the was it New Hope, or was it Return of the Jedi? When he goes sideways into the Death Star, and they knock off the satellite from the Millennium Falcon, which and then the monster in the maelstrom comes.
I didn't like the monster.
Oh, see, I thought that was awesome. I thought that was.
It was kind of cheesy. It was like an octopus or something.
It was like a space monster. I was like, oh, that's so sick. It's like almost like a kraken in space.
Yeah,
because it's supposed to be a space
pirate film. I was like, what is this
film.
Space octopus?
Yeah, it's
I guess
it's supposed to be a space pirate film, and now we have the kraken that's coming after the group, and they have to make it out out in time. I don't know. I thought as a sci-fi fan, I was just like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts.
But I'll say my good for this film was Donald Glover. I loved him as Lando.
Great.
I think he had a lot of the mannerisms and acting chops that Billy D. Williams brought to that character.
Oh, he definitely did a great homage.
There
to
was
Billy
many
D. Williams.
points where he was talking where I'm like, oh my God, that really sounds like Billy D. Williams.
Absolutely.
There was a lot of jokes about the capes that I thought were funny, or his relationship with his
with the robot.
with his robot. She was great as well.
Would they say he's androgynous sexual or
Yeah,
something?
and
Like,
I heard, well, up until you spoiled it for me, that apparently they're not going to make any more solo Star Wars films or
He was gonna
independent.
get his own
he was
movie.
going to get his own movie, which I was like, I would like to see some more of him. You know,
Absolutely.
He was a cool character. He was funny. And it was just a great callback to the original movies that we all love.
Now, one of my favorite parts was at the end when Beckett is talking to Solo, and Solo's like supposedly taking the fuel, and he's giving his bad guy speech, and all of a sudden Solo just shoots him.
Yeah.
That was a nice return to Han shot first, where
Yeah.
they changed it in The New Hope to Greedo shot at Han, and then like Han and Greedo shoot at each other at the same time. But in this, Han shot first, and I thought finally we're seeing the Solo that was meant to be.
Yeah.
Like he didn't waste any time. He was just like, all right, I got to kill you. Boom. Like, you're dead.
Yeah, but overall, I enjoyed it. I went in with no expectations and left like, oh, that was fun. Yeah, I guess it sucks that it didn't do well because I thought it was better than, again, Last Jedi that wasn't my favorite. And we talked about it in our very first episode, my opinion on that.
It's on Netflix now.
But yeah.
One of my least favorite scenes is during the train robbery heist, Rios dying. Now, I understand because we see plenty of movies, and when I see movies, sometimes it's like a curse. I've seen so many movies because I could call plot points, and I knew Val and Rios were going to die because they were they were obviously expendable characters, and it made it apparent they're expendable characters. But Rios, I thought, was like the little alien dude. I thought he was kind of cool. I thought that he was an interesting character, and I wanted to see a little bit more of him. And then when he all of a sudden gets shot, and that's it, and then Solo has to come and take the realms as the pilot. Like, yes, you were introducing Han as the pilot that he was, and like, he's above his class. But I was like, I felt like they kind of just killed this character off with no care at all, and all right, well, he's not needed anymore. We'll see you later.
Yeah, I guess.
It was disappointing.
I mean, overall, though, again, I went in with very low expectations and left the movie like, wow.
Yeah,
that
me
was
too.
a fun ride.
I think, did we see a different movie than everyone else saw?
I don't know. I mean, it sucks that it didn't do that well, and we're not going to get another one, maybe. We'll see what happens. Things change. But
I don't. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, let us know if you liked the
didn't
movie.
like it. What did you not like?
Yeah.
Like, because I went into it wanting a sci-fi action film, and that's what we got, and I thought that was exactly what I was looking for.
yeah, and again, to our listeners out there, engage with us because we've been having a lot of fun with some of our fans on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram.
Which I'm surprised about YouTube, because YouTube, they say there's nowhere worse on earth than a YouTube comments page. So
No, but
you
we've
guys
had
have
some
been
good
really
back and
cool.
forth with some people, some good theories. It's fun to just geek out about this stuff.
Yeah, we're nerds too, so tell us what you think.
All right, so I mean, I guess that's gonna do it. Let's see. We talked about Deadpool. We talked about Solo. We gave you a whole bunch of news and updates. We got our winner for the Pop Funko. Once again, congratulations. Going out to our listener, Jim Hayes. Remember to email us at infiniteuniversepodcast@gmail.com. Send us your full address and we'll ship that out to you. Remember, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We need more followers and likes, more subscribers. Instagram, Twitter, we're out there.
We're also going to be uploading our episodes now to IGTV. Keep an eye out for that. It's the new Instagram long run programming. It's kind of Instagram's challenge to YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you follow us on YouTube or you follow us on Instagram, keep an eye out for IGTV. Remember, download the app and then subscribe to Infinite Universe Podcast. That will be up in the next week or so.
Yup. Anything else?
That's it, man. I mean, now I got to go back and rewatch Flash season 4 and the Luke Cage too.
Yeah, I'm gonna start.
You got me excited about that.
I'm gonna dive into more Luke Cage, some Cloak and Dagger, and then in a couple weeks, some Ant-Man and Wasp. That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, until next time, we're your hosts. I'm John J. Days.
I'm Ben Metlis.
And remember, although we are a-holes, we are not 100% dicks. That's it for this episode. Until next time, we're out of here.
Peace.
Peace.